Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome to the 95th level of the RPG Cave. I'm one of your hosts, the level 99 human archmage, Ryan Turford, and I am joined for the first time in a fortnight by the level 99 tiefling warlock, Mr. Matt Sawinski. Matt, how are you doing on this lovely, lovely day, good sir?
Oh, that's my favorite one yet. I like that it changes every time, but that one, Tiefling Warlock, I'm about it. I actually play a Tiefling Rogue, though, in a D&D campaign that I'm in. But doing well, my dude. The weather is hot. Evidently, Ontario just put out a nice heat warning for today and tomorrow. So for all us Ontarians that are around Toronto and the GTA, please stay cool because it's about to get steamy. Back to you, Ryan.
I love the fact that you're like, man, I have this hard out that we have to finish the show on at a specific time, and then you just immediately start talking about the weather, Matt. It's so.
I had to.
Good
I had
God.
to.
I mean, I'm doing well as well since you asked. I'm doing fine. It's not like we just saw each other last night, of course.
Nope.
In person. Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Of course.
It was an apparition.
We didn't just talk about it on Xbox Drive last night either, but
nope.
Anyways, let's clear the garage because, like I said, we've got to get through this show quick. So, folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. If you're watching the live stream right now, over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we go live with new videos or whenever we put up a new video on the channel. Like our Pit Stop Retro Gaming videos this week or a whole bunch of other stuff. You can check out the channel. We got all kinds of cool stuff there. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't hit that subscribe button. And then rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That helps the show get discovered. 5 stars, as Matt, of course, indicates. And then last but not least, if you want the show a little bit early, or if you want some exclusive content, you're going to head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content. Oh, and I forgot to mention tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you are listening to this on the live stream, or, I mean, pretty much, we're going to probably be playing this on the stream all weekend. Diablo 4 is coming, Matt, tonight. It is very exciting. I will be live streaming on the Twitch channel tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hopefully the servers work, and if not, we'll play the loading game of hanging out in the Discord chat waiting for the servers to start to work. So either way, come by twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live this evening, and we will be playing some Diablo. Oh, yes,
Diablo. Well, I also just want to shout out Happy Spider-Verse Day to everybody who celebrates. I'm going to Spider-Man's an RPG, sure, let's call it that. New Spider-Verse is out today. I cannot wait, Ryan. So going to that, coming back and into Diablo, it's going to be a great day, my friend. I'm in.
I'm glad you said that because I haven't seen the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Verse movie yet. So,
What?
I know.
Stream over. There's nothing else more important. It is quite literally, we rewatched it last week. Perfect movie, Ryan. It is a perfect movie. And as someone who likes animation, that's shocking.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's one of those things where I've talked about this on other shows before. But like a big turnoff for me is multiverse stuff. Especially like, the Spider-Verse is like when Spider-Men are crossing over with other Spider-Men, it actually is a big turnoff for me where it actually makes me not want to see it more than anything. We're like, when Spider-Man No Way Home was coming out and we heard that it was going to be a multiverse movie, it actually made me less excited for the movie because I'm actually more excited just to see, like I would almost rather just see like a Miles Morales movie instead of having Miles Morales cross over with Spider-Pig crossing over with old man Peter Parker. Like that's
My heart just broke.
that's just who I am, though.
Please do me a favor. Just watch it. Please,
All
please,
right,
for
me. I will one day.
No, soon. I know, Diablo. Please, Ryan, please. You don't understand. This is gonna bother me to no end. Anyways, please.
All right, I will commit to watching it at some point.
Yes.
Cool.
Today.
It's not today. I don't have time today. All right, let's get into our predictions. This is our annual episode. Unfortunately, Garrett was not able to join us today because he is currently traveling in China, but he has submitted his RPG predictions. So this is the show where we're going to predict. We're going to look into our crystal ball, Matt, and decide what is going to be announced next week during E3, in quotations. I mean, I know E3 is dead, but we're basically calling the next week E3, right? Like that's kind of what we're doing at this point because Summer Game Fest is too big of a name. There's too many like letters in that name.
SGF.
Yeah, exactly. Or that's still more than like another letter over E3. So I'm just gonna continue to say E3. So we're gonna go through that. But before we go to our predictions, Matt, I want to just quickly run through the games and release dates that we already know about going into this to kind of, set things up a little bit, create a little bit of a mood here as we roll into Summer Game Fest here. So let's talk about The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie coming out on July 7th. That is right around the corner. I imagine we don't see this at all.
If we did, especially because this is really and truly is like the culmination. It's basically a Trails end game. Like this is a culmination of everything kind of leading up to where we are now across literally all of the games. I wouldn't be surprised if we may see a teaser for what will be the next major Trails series that'll take place in a different area of the continent, because we do know that's coming.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of that, but I'd be shocked if we saw anything for Reverie.
Yeah, same. Just like this next game, Italia Marie remake, The Alchemist of Salzburg, coming July 13th. Unless this shows up in a sizzle reel during Nintendo's showcase, we're going into this assuming Nintendo's having something, whether it's a partner direct or just a normal direct. This would be part of a sizzle reel, if anything, and nothing.
I actually have word on the street that it's going to be Keeley's One More Thing.
I hate you so much, but no, it will not be the One More Thing. This will not grace the presence of Summer Game Fest or anything like that. On August 8th, we are getting a WrestleQuest. This is the wrestling RPG, Matt. It seems pretty cool. It's like a retro style game. It's got, professional wrestlers in it. And it seems like an interesting game, but it's coming out August 8th. And again, same with the Italia Marie remake. I don't think we see that other than like a slideshow at like the Nintendo Direct, if there is one. But one I think we will see, Sea of Stars, August 29th. I imagine this gets a trailer at either Nintendo's thing or Summer Game Fest. What do you think, Matt?
I think it's a high likelihood. I think we've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like we've seen Sea of Stars at something Keeley related before, even if like it may not have been a big one. But like the hype for this game, especially on Twitter over the last year or so, every time they put out like a short GIF, everybody's celebrating it. I'd be shocked if we don't see something to kind of make the wider release date known, because we got that in the last little bit. So yeah, I think I think you're right. Whether it's the theoretical Nintendo Direct or I think Keeley's makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even. Is it coming to Xbox?
It is supposed to be coming to Xbox. Yes.
I'm gonna fact check myself.
Yeah,
right now.
It was supposed they didn't release the demo on Xbox, but it will be coming to Xbox. I believe.
It will be coming to Xbox. Okay, so let me ask you a quick question here. Is there a possibility that we get this during the Xbox showcase with it coming to Game Pass day one?
It's possible, but I doubt it. I personally don't feel like it'll be at Xbox. I feel like more than anything, it'll be the telltale sign as to whether or not Nintendo has a thing. If Nintendo has a thing,
True.
I 100% guarantee that's where it'll be. But if it's not, if Nintendo isn't doing a thing, then I think Summer Game Fest is still more likely than Xbox. But
okay,
we'll see. Maybe they wrote them that check, gave them that bag with the money sign on it, Matt, and just we're like, hey, here we'll give you that Game Pass check to put on Game Pass. But
it'd be such a slam dunk, because so many people are hungry for RPGs on Xbox, and for one of the most anticipated ones of the year to have it on Game Pass, like they can do it.
Yeah. Oops. I think it's not a terrible idea. But one I think we could see during the Xbox showcase is Baldur's Gate 3. That comes out on August 31st. I think that'll be at Keeley's thing or Xbox, but I definitely think we're also going to see that next week as well, with the release date coming soon.
I think you're probably right. I mean, it's around the corner. I know there's a lot of hype for it. I think you're probably right. I think we do see it at some point.
Yeah. Also, one we know we're seeing, Starfield, September 6th. It's getting its own showcase after the Xbox showcase, so we're going to be seeing a ton of Starfield. I know Garrett is like over the moon excited for Starfield. How are you feeling about Starfield these days, Matt? Because you and I never talk about Starfield, so I'm curious to know what you think.
I am tempering my expectations.
Yeah.
I've had a bad feeling about the game since day one. I infamously counterpicked it last year at the Carpool Gaming Fantasy Critic. I don't think it's going to be a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't think it's going to live up to the hype that I think has been set for the game, and especially the momentous weight it's now carrying because of what happened with Redfall.
Yeah.
I think it might show well. I hope it shows well, because obviously we all always want any game to succeed, so that way the entire economy does better for it. I am waiting to see more, and I'm definitely going to check it out. But Bethesda RPGs have never really been my forte, and I don't know, there's something about Starfield, I just have like a gut feeling that it'll be okay.
Yeah. I'm also tempering my expectations a bit, because I feel like if the game is kind of the game that we saw last year, still, like, it's probably going to be low 8s is what I'm kind of predicting for review scores. Like good, not great, kind of.
Yeah. I'm expecting like low 7s.
Yeah. And I don't know if it'll get that low. I think it just depends on like how the diverse, like how diverse the worlds are that you go to. Because if it feels like No Man's Sky, where a lot of the worlds you go to are very samey, then it's just going to kill any like desire to do a lot of the exploration, which is a big part of the appeal of that game, which then it's going to lead to kind of lower review sales, especially because the combat looks like it's going to be, kind of fine as it is. But I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's awesome.
Likewise.
But I guess we'll find out pretty soon. I'm excited at least they're going to be taking the time to go into Starfield more than anything, because I think it kind of deserves that big blowout showcase at least. But.
Likewise, especially because it's around the corner. We need to see how this game properly plays.
Yep. Next up, speaking of the Trails series, Matt, The Legend of Natuya Boundless Trails coming September 19th. Probably not seeing that anywhere at all. Maybe. No, maybe during the Nintendo Direct at like in the slideshow and nothing more.
This one's like an action RPG. Like, it's very outside of the regular Trails wheelhouse. So like I personally have no hype for this game whatsoever as a massive Trails fan. And I can't imagine the wider array of RPG fandom is looking for this anywhere this summer, like on any of these showcases.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Kevin Ainsworth says he's going to be playing it. So at least someone will be playing it. But
yeah.
And then the last game that we know about, at least as far as, games that are confirmed for this year, that RPGs, is Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtueless, coming on October 3rd. Again, same with Legend of Natuya. I don't think we see this anywhere. Like, it might be, again, at the Nintendo Direct if there is one, if it's a partner showcase, but otherwise I don't think we see this at all.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really gotten into Disgaea. I've tried. It just didn't click. But if I were to go back, Ryan, are you a Disgaea fan? I don't know this.
I like the Disgaea games, but they're hit and miss. Like, there are certain games that I would recommend over others, and they're very old school feeling. So you have to be really excited to go and play like an old school PS2 feeling, tactical role playing game.
Okay, back out. There's too many games right now for me to consider hopping into one. But
if
I were to in the future, which one would I check out?
Honestly, I would say, it's tough because if you had your Vita, I would say to play the Disgaea 1 port, Afternoon of Darkness, which was a PSP game that you can play on Vita that's on like the Vita store. I think it's like $10. That's actually a very, very good place to start. It's at the beginning of the story. It's a remake of the first game from PlayStation 2, and it's also one of the best games in the series. Because it like over time, or you could jump into something like Disgaea 6 on PlayStation 5, because I also think that's a good place to play that game. The thing is with those games, a lot of times the story doesn't carry between games, so you can kind of play them in whatever order you kind of want to. But the mechanics are very weird and goofy in their very long games, so probably don't want to play that when there's a bajillion games coming out in June, because we're officially in June now, Matt. I still can't believe that it's June at the time we're recording this.
Happy Pride, by the way.
Yes, Happy Pride Month. Absolutely. So those are all the things that we know about for sure. So we're probably not going to talk too much about this in our predictions, Matt. So I think you and I, it's time for us to go into our predictions. We're going to kind of go back and forth and kind of give our predictions. And again, Garrett also submitted his predictions for the showcases, and we'll kind of touch on those, and then we'll do, when we do like our RPG news break episode after all the showcases, we'll then tally up and see who's the winner, the RPG Grandmaster, as you would.
As we do.
Matt, would you like to go first or second? And by the way, we didn't really like come up with a set number of these, because RPGs can be kind of tricky to predict. So we could just grab a whole bunch of stuff, and we're gonna kind of call it a day there.
So should we maybe start with Garrett? Because then if there's any overlapping predictions, you and I can pivot.
Oh, sure. That's actually a good strategy. Thank you, Matt.
Right?
For bringing that up. So Garrett, he actually broke it down by the showcases. So Garrett says at the Xbox showcase, he thinks, number one, we'll see Persona 3 Remake announced.
Never mind. We shouldn't start.
Coming to Game Pass day one on Xbox. A few hours later, they'll confess that it'll actually come to all other platforms, other than Xbox, but it'll be a Game Pass day and date release, which actually was one of my predictions that I had, going into this. Although, to be fair, this isn't really an original thought, Matt, because I know Nate the Hate, who is kind of like an industry leaker. A lot of the stuff he actually usually predicts or throws out there is usually correct. He's been talking about Silent Hill for forever, and then it finally got announced. Same with Metal Gear. So it's just one of those things where he's usually correct on a lot of this stuff. And he mentioned on his latest podcast that he knows that Persona 3 Remake is getting released this year, which is crazy to think about. But it is also going to be on the Xbox stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, again, this was one of mine too. Here's my thing. Did Garrett date it? Did he throw a date on his prediction?
He didn't throw a date. We can spec. Do you want to speculate about dates now, Matt?
I want to speculate about dates.
Let's speculate about dates. What do you think?
I think we're going to get this in November. This feels like a great November game. Persona's riding a high right now in terms of it's the biggest it's ever been, arguably. And I think it could, at a P3, like a P3 remake, if they go full board with it, I think it could very well be in early November. Xbox usually drops, or I mean, Tuesdays are usually the day. I'm going to say November 7th. Okay. I'm going to say November 7th. I feel like anything earlier than that, I'd be over the moon excited. But with Starfield hitting in September, we know Spider-Man is theoretically in September. November feels like a good spot for this to land, where it won't have a lot of competition with other RPGs or RPG adjacent games. I'm going to say November.
See, I would be with you on this, but I know Atlus's track record of when they like to release their games, and they like to release all the Persona releases in September. So I'm actually predicting September 26th. Tuesday, September 26th. Because of course we need more games in September. We got Starfield, we got Mortal Kombat, we're probably getting Spider-Man. There's a couple other games that I know are coming that that I'm forgetting. But I think September 26th, because at this point they're just like, well, it's an RPG and it's different from everything else anyway, so why does it matter?
Dude, in a world where we get Spider-Man and Persona in the same month, I will be insufferable. I need to take the entire month off.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Like I think it's too, like to Kevin's point in the chat, September is too packed, which is exactly why I can see them doing this, because
Atlus does whatever Atlus does.
That is kind of how that works. Like they don't care what else is releasing around them, because they know people who like Persona will just buy Persona when Persona comes out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I definitely think like I think we're all in agreement. This game's coming out this year, especially like after we saw that leaked footage of it and it looking really good. I'm like, this game is definitely coming out for sure, like 100% this year.
So let me ask you this then, because I know we're going to move on in a sec, but I have to pick your brain. Do we get all of the extra DLC stuff that we didn't get within like the answer and everything? Do we get all of that rolled into one package? And are we going to see the female main character?
Yes and yes. I think it'll be the fusion of FES and Portable that we've always wanted. Kind of
I hope you're right.
Because if they do that, I mean that's exactly what I had been asking for when we were hearing talks that Persona 3 might be coming back just as a remaster. Like the fact that they gave us the portable version only before, which it just made me a little bit sadder, but hearing that this was coming, it's like, okay, now I understand why they did it that way. So you have the original game if you want to go back to it, but you'll have this new game, this brand new game to go back to that brings everything together, which again is the version of Persona 3 they probably wanted to put out in the first place.
Agreed. Okay, I'm in. Oh my God, I'm in.
Yeah, same. Like that might be like one of my most anticipated games of this year, if that actually is 100% correct. But
okay.
Moving on, number 2, Avowed. Please just give me something. I'm suspecting just another CGI trailer with minimal gameplay. So I didn't actually have Avowed on my list because I don't actually know if we're going to see Avowed this year at Xbox. Third up, Fable was just teased. It's definitely going to be at the show, which again, Xbox teased it themselves. So I think it's a given that'll be there. Will be a big part of their showcase, including a gameplay reveal. It'll just be a 2024 announcement. So they'll announce 2024, Garrett's saying, but not a specific release date. And they'll show gameplay. That's kind of his prediction.
I had the exact same prediction. We're gonna get a CGI trailer. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of the game. We'll probably be seeing some stuff that looks like it could be gameplay, but we're not really sure if it is. And then the 2024 date, like year launch window.
Yeah.
I think.
I imagine that they do something very similar to, and Sean and I talked about this a little bit last week or last night on Xbox Drive. Do you remember 2 years ago at the Game Awards when they showed the gameplay reveal for Hellblade 2? Because they actually did that at the Game Awards 2 years ago.
Did we get a gameplay? I remember seeing like the CGI trailer.
No, they had a gameplay reveal trailer at the Game Awards in 2021. But which is kind of crazy to think about because that game still hasn't announced for a release date yet at this point.
Interesting.
But I imagine, but it was basically a section of the game where like Senua's running away from some enemies and there's some fighting in the background and stuff like that. And they had it without the HUD. So I imagine maybe they do something similar if they're going to show the gameplay for Fable, especially with it coming next year. But I'm pretty sure I'm with Garrett. I think that they will just announce it's 2024 and nothing else, assuming they actually put any kind of release date on that trailer at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get no window whatsoever, but I think they'll probably lead. I think we'll probably see 2024.
Yeah, I mean it's not coming this year, and and likewise they're not going to slap 2025 on the end of that either. Like if it's coming 2025, they just won't say anything. So I'm in agreement with you on that one. And then Garrett's final one for Xbox, wild card, he says. Scalebound is returning and it's better than ever as a live service game with gacha mechanics. Because, of course, Garrett said that and willed that into the universe.
No. I wasn't even thinking about it.
No.
But
just no. That's never happening, but it's a wild card. It's a wild card prediction from Garrett. And last prediction from Garrett, he says that the Nintendo Direct, we're going to see Dragon Quest HD 3D gameplay. Of course, that's like the HD 2D Dragon Quest game, Dragon Quest 3. So, yeah. I assume that we will see that this year, whether it's at Keighley's thing or Nintendo Direct, if a Nintendo Direct is happening.
So let me ask you this then, because now obviously we're scoring this. We talked about how this is, we're coming down to points things here. What is the timeline on this theoretical Nintendo Direct? Is it to the end of summer? Is it to the end of June? Like when are we capping this theoretical Nintendo Direct in existence?
We are capping this theoretical Nintendo Direct on Friday, June 16th. If it is not announced, but if we have no Nintendo Direct by then it doesn't count.
That's a point lost. We're not seeing Nintendo. Watch.
I still think I'm like 99% confident we'll see at least a partner Direct. Where it's just third party thing.
Yeah.
In which case something like this would be there.
Yep.
Because it's a third party thing.
Fair.
Yeah. Because I actually think you're right. There's probably not going to be a proper Nintendo Direct. But I think they'll do like a partner showcase so third-party games come in to Switch. Because I think there's enough stuff there to announce that won't all be at Keighley's thing for them to do that.
Or even a mini Direct, like one of those ones, because they have like so many different variations of the Direct now.
Yeah, exactly. A Direct Mini, where maybe they can have one Nintendo thing. Because I still think those Metroid Prime remasters of 2 and 3 are coming out this year. So they got to announce those somewhere. So maybe they have those there at the end of the show. And then, a couple third-party things. But we'll see. And yeah, I know a lot of people in the chat are pointing out as well that, it was later last year. And that is definitely a possibility too. But for the purpose of this game, we're not waiting all summer to tally the scores.
No.
So
good. Okay.
Yeah, that's just how it is. We're going all in to begin with. So now that we got Garrett's predictions out of the way, and Garrett had a couple of mine, because obviously I was going to mention Fable, because you and I actually talked about it in person last night, because we talked about Fable a bit. Do you want to go first or second with your predictions, Matt?
I'm gonna kick things off.
Okay.
I'm gonna get bullish.
Okay.
Garrett came out swinging, and I can't get caught off guard anymore. So I'm going to start off with the big one that I feel like might be on your list too here. I think we're going to see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think it's going to be at Summer Games Fest. I know that Final Fantasy 16 is imminent, so I'm sure we'll get some sort of small teaser there, but I do think they are going to follow up with Rebirth. Because, again, it's the biggest stage at Final Fantasy VII. I am predicting a February 2024 release date. I think we're going to see some gameplay. We're going to get a little more of an extended look at it from what we saw with Sephiroth and Cloud walking through a forest. And then we're going to get in February 2024 release date, because that still fits within that winter timeframe that they gave us. I think that will just also lead into the hype for Final Fantasy. So I'm saying from February 2024, Final Fantasy Saber Rebirth, proper trailer, gameplay and all.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna bring, before I give my retort, Nagachaka, I'm gonna bring him into the conversation. Nagachaka asked, do you think we'll get an update on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with an actual release date? If so, why will the release date be in 2024?
My boy, Nagachaka.
I still think that this game is coming out this year. I still am, until they tell me otherwise, Matt, I'm still on track to believe this game is coming out this December, just like Crisis Core did last year. I'm pretty sure that is the time frame they have in their heads. And if it gets delayed from there to February, then it gets delayed. But I also in agreement with you. I actually think we will see 7 Rebirth here, despite the fact that 16 is coming out soon.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think in a world where we get both Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth in the same calendar year, and if we throw on Spider-Man and Persona on top of that in the same month, dude, I hope you're right. I so badly want to play this game as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. I just think that December traditionally is the month where games are sent out to die, and I think they know what they did with Remake. I think they can capitalize on Rebirth. I think they're either going to go for like November or February, because February, as we've learned over the last couple of years, is hot as hell lately. So I feel like they wouldn't toss it in December. But again, Square Enix, literally anything could happen. Rebirth could be an NFT game.
It could be. You never know. But I will say there is also the possibility that we don't see it here because, maybe they don't want to show it before 16 comes out. So maybe if we don't see it here this week, I expect that we'll see it at Gamescom or at a State of Play happening in before September. I think one of those two was maybe where we see Rebirth if we don't see it next week. But
I think you're right. If we don't see it, it has to be by the end of the summer, especially if they're trying to keep, even if it's February, that would put it at a 6-month release window. I think you're 100% right. We'll see it by the end of the summer if it's not this week.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on, Matt. And this one, I'll start with my out there prediction to start with, and I'll get more realistic as we go on. Square Enix will announce a brand new game in the Mana series. It is not a remake, but it is in the style of Trials of Mana, and it's coming out this December.
Does it star The Rock?
No. No. Why would it star The Rock? No.
He has was it his tequila brand is called Mana, I think, or his energy drink or something. He has a brand of something that's called Mana.
This show was a mistake. This is a mistake. All right, show's over. We're signing up for the day. No, we won't do that. But
so you think December, a new Mana game?
Yeah.
What are you thinking this game looks like? Is it traditional looking Mana? Are we getting a full 3D, blowout?
I think it'll be so do you remember the remake of Trials of Mana that came out a couple years ago? There was a third person. It was a third person action RPG.
Maybe
it came out on PlayStation 4 and Switch. It was a really good game if you haven't played it, by the way. But it was basically a remake of the Super Nintendo original that never came out here. And I think it's going to be in that style because that game actually sold really well. And they haven't really gone back to that well yet. That developer hasn't made any other games since then, and they haven't gone back to that, even though that game is sold higher than their expectations had them made it out to be.
I completely missed this. I didn't even know this existed, and now I want to play it. Ryan, every time we talk, we literally just had this conversation yesterday when we didn't see each other. Every time we talk, you just add more games to my list. This looks great, and I hope you're right, because now I want this.
And Kevin Ainsworth points out it's on PlayStation Plus Extra. If
okay, done.
So it's you have it already.
I'm in.
At this point, yeah. Trials of Mana, a very good game for y'all that haven't played it. So I think because it's been, because I think that came out in 2018, 2019. It's been 3 years, and the developer hasn't done anything else. And apparently the turnaround time for Trials of Mana was pretty quick, they said.
Okay.
So I imagine it's time that they have a new game in the series and a new game in the style. Plus, Square Enix is that company that will put out a bajillion games this year just for the heck of it. Like they did last year, where they had 10 games in 3 months.
Listen, no matter what they put out this year, nothing will compare to the greatness that is Foam Party, okay? Or Foam Stars. Foam Stars.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to the greatness that is that. But I hope you're right, dude. You got me excited with this prediction. I hope you land this one.
Nice. All right, Matt, back to you. What's your next one?
All right. I'm gonna stay on the Squeenix train. because again, I'm going to go a little bit out there. I think we're going to see, whether it's Summer Game Fest or Xbox, I'm not sure where it land. My gut says Summer Game Fest. We're going to see Kingdom Hearts 4. Okay. We know Disney's involved in Summer Game Fest. So that for me, like Kingdom Hearts 4 with Square Enix and Disney both in the same place. We've seen a glimpse of it before. I think it's a possibility that we see it again. I don't know. Like, I think we may see some of the worlds. Like, I think like a Moana world is probably a lock. Something from like Pixar, maybe even something like Inside Out could be a lock. But I think they're going to be Square Enix enough to date this 2024, and there's not a prayer it's going to come out that year, but I think they're going to date it 2024.
Of course they will. Of course they would do something like that. I don't know. Maybe you never know. It might actually come out next year, Matt. Although, you know, we may have had a conversation last night about this when we may or may not have seen each other, where we asked the question which would come out first, the Elder Scrolls 6 or Kingdom Hearts 4, because I'm actually still convinced that Kingdom Hearts 4 isn't coming out till 2027 at this point. But you never know. It could.
Listen,
they could.
It could come out anytime between next year and 2030.
Yeah.
Or even if they follow Kingdom Hearts 3, 2035. So like anytime it eventually shows up, I won't be surprised when it eventually does hit. But I think they will date it for 2024, and I don't think it will come out. But I think we will see Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah, nice.
What do you think,
That'd be actually pretty cool. I think Kingdom Hearts fans would be excited about that. Moving on to another series. I'm getting off that Square Enix train. Although I have other Square Enix predictions. We're going to save them for a bit. Because I want to talk about Bandai Namco. They have this little series, okay, Matt. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called the Tales series, okay? And it's been a while since we've seen the Tales series. Besides, of course, you know, the remaster of Symphonia, which came out this year. But that's a remaster, Matt. That's not a new game.
Nope.
A brand new entry of the Tales franchise will be announced this year at the Xbox Showcase. It will not be a sequel to Tales of Arise. It will be its own game. So it will be Tales of something. Whatever they decide to, whatever, you know, synonym or, you know, noun or verb they decide to attach to the end of that name, they will call it Tales of insert name here.
They're going to get dark and weird. It's going to be Tales of Vulgaria, and it's just going to be nothing but expletives and swearing the entire way through.
Yeah, probably. So, but yeah, like I feel like knowing the story from Tales of Arise and how they, you know, have sections in the past and the future and in the main game, I don't think they're going to do like a prequel like they did with Tales of Berseria to Tales of Zestiria. I think they're going to, and I don't think they'll do a canonical sequel to Tales of Arise because of the way that game ends. So I really feel like the next Tales game is going to be something different, but it'll be in the same engine. And it'll come out it'll be either dated for this year or next year, but I don't think they even attach a date to this. I think they just announced that it's coming and that it'll be Game Pass day one. I didn't mention that, but I think it'll be Game Pass day one.
I think you're 100% spot on with this. I had it on my list as well. I think it's time that we see it. I don't know if it'd be this year because, like, I think we got Arise in 2021. A 2-year time around seems like a bit too tight for.
Well, that's why I don't think it's coming out this year. I think because they announced Arise 2 years before it came out. That's my line of thinking here.
Fair.
Where I think like they'll announce it now and then it comes out either next year or the year after. Kind of.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think we'll see it. I think you're 100% right. Tales doesn't usually dip into sequel / prequel territory. It's happened a few times, but it's not the norm for Tales. So I think it being its entirely own thing again makes 100% sense. I think you're spot on here. I had the exact same prediction.
Oh my God. It's like we're sharing the same brain, Matt. But,
look at us.
Yeah. But I think it's time for them to at least talk about it. They don't have to, it doesn't have to come out this year. I'm not expecting it imminently, but I expect it'll get announced. And again, the reason I expect it to be announced at Xbox is because traditionally they've actually had a really good relationship with Tales at Xbox, where generally they announce a lot of the Tales stuff at Xbox, including Tales of Arise. So I actually, that's where I think like this gets announced, is at Xbox.
I think there's a chance. I think you're probably right. I think it's probably Xbox. I think there's a chance we'll see it at Summer Game Fest, knowing how big Arise was for them. Like it was the biggest Tales game yet. So depending, I think, what other RPGs may be in the mix at Summer Games Fest, there's a chance that we see it there. But I think you're probably right. It probably will be Xbox, but could be Summer Game Fest.
Yeah. Nice. Neat. All right. Neat. Matt, what's your next one?
Okay. I think we're gonna see an early CGI trailer for the Witcher remake. We got
Ooh.
the announcement for it in October of last year, so we know that it's real. We know that they are rebuilding it from the ground up. I think it's too early still for what will be The Witcher 4. I feel like The Witcher remake will be that kind of in-between game between what we get now with the remake and then leading into 4 later on. So I think we'll see The Witcher remake. I think it'll be a purely CGI trailer. I don't even think we're going to get a date. I don't think there's going to be anything attached to it. But given that the announcement was a literal blog post, I think we will see footage of it to some extent, whether it even if it's just a CGI trailer for the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if we get no date, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they throw on a 2024 on that as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's time that we see The Witcher remake.
You know, I know a lot of people are speculating as to what that one more thing could be at Keighley's showcase. And I feel like that's the type of thing that could be the one more thing at Keighley's showcase. Yeah. Where it's like, because people will go nuts if we see the Witcher remake at all next week.
Especially because, like, I'm sure we're going to get a Cyberpunk DLC trailer.
Yeah.
And, like, for them to have both Cyberpunk and Witcher in the same showcase feels like a very CD Projekt Red thing to do. And especially because, I think they need some good publicity after the last few years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them both. But yeah, I think it could very well be a one more thing for Keighley.
Yeah, I think like that would be a huge get if Keighley got that for Summer Game Fest this year. And in which case he would probably, knowing Keighley, he would probably put it as the one more thing, or even start the show with it, like one of those two, like making sure it has is one of the most front and center things. Although I'm still not unconvinced that Death Stranding 2 ends up being the big one more thing, despite the fact that we already know about it.
It could very well be. I mean, what I really think is going to happen is they're probably saving Blue Box for their one more thing. Obviously, they're going to be dropping Abandoned, right during that showcase. But sorry, wait, I'm going to take this entire prediction back. Obviously, it's going to be at the next PlayStation showcase when PlayStation announces that they're acquiring CD Projekt Red, and Witcher both remake and 4 will be PS exclusives.
That's true. I forgot that was a rumor that was actually a thing. To
the point where
the president of CG Projekt Red had to come out there and say, no, this isn't a thing. Please stop asking.
Hey, listen, the guy that lives next door told me, okay?
Oh, okay. Is he your uncle that works at Nintendo?
He might be.
Oh my god. All right, moving on. My third prediction is actually probably my safest prediction, but this is one that I got to get out there because we haven't talked about this one. And, I'm like 99% sure we will see this by the end of next week, or by the end of, the E3 week, I should say.
Can I guess what you're about to say?
Sure.
The Elden Ring expansion?
No, because we already know that's happening, so I'm not going to predict that.
Okay, good. I was going to leave it off too. Sorry, go on.
I mean, Phantom Liberty from Cyberpunk is in the same boat where we already know about it, so I'm not saying about that later. But
cool.
The reason why this is so obvious is because it was in the NVIDIA leak, and it hasn't been announced yet, and this is the time, I think, to announce it. Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered is officially announced at the Nintendo Direct or Partner Showcase or whatever the heck the Nintendo thing will be, if there is one. It will be coming in September to all consoles. And it'll basically be kind of like Chrono Cross or Final Fantasy, like the PS1 Final Fantasy games, where it'll basically be like a touched up version of Final Fantasy Tactics that comes out on all the consoles. So
that game is already beautiful, so I don't think you have to do too much to it to kind of bring it to day and date. Yeah. So hold on, let me get this straight then. You're living in a world in Ryan's galaxy brain where we get Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth in the same calendar year.
You're also forgetting the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters and Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, which is the Final Fantasy music game. But you have to remember, at the beginning of the year, they mentioned this is the big 35th anniversary for Final Fantasy, and expect a ton of Final Fantasy releases this year.
Okay.
So, that is why they are crazy enough to do something like this. And plus, this is a low-key release. They'll sell this for $20. This could come out any year. But I think this is the year that they actually put it out.
I want it. I loved it back in the day. And I would love another opportunity to go back to that game. If it is September.
Yeah.
My God.
Well,
this to me I wouldn't be surprised if that's even an August release. Again, I feel like they could drop it in a couple months and, out in the world it goes.
Yeah, I think that'll be a very quick turnaround from when they announce it to when it actually comes out. Because again, I think it's very low profile. It'll be there, it'll exist, and then we'll kind of move on and talk about
Mm-hmm.
other games. But I mean, it'll also be awesome to actually have a playable version of Final Fantasy Tactics on modern platforms, since we don't have it on PlayStation Plus Premium yet, because it is a PS1 game and a PSP game, and we don't have it on either of those versions yet on PS Plus. So I think like having this would be like a great move for, you know, preserving game history anyways with this. So
I hope you're right.
yeah. All right, Matt, do you now that we've gone 3 predictions deep, how many got left?
I got like a couple, but like they're softballs. Like I'll just toss them out.
Yeah.
I think like we see Honkai Star Rail. We get the PS5 release date.
That was one
Like,
I had
again,
to. Yeah.
Yeah, this game is huge right now. It's already like, you know, making millions and millions of dollars, especially in China. Like it's ridiculous the success that it's running at. I've been playing it on mobile, really enjoying it, way more than I did Genshin Impact. So I think that, you know, them having a quick, you know, minute-long trailer during Summer Game Fest, being like, here's a release date that it's coming sometime this year. And then the other one that I had down isn't exactly RPG, but I think could be RPG adjacent, is DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi. We know that we got that brief teaser announcement. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it back here, whether it's Summer Game Fest or it could even be Xbox, you know, actually letting us see the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if it has, like, again, a more RPG-esque dedicated, you know, story mode that, you know, follows it in whatever way that they're going to go. But like, those are the two that I kind of had left that I was like, I think Honkai is a lock. I think Dragon Ball could happen.
Yeah. I could see them doing that with the story mode too, because especially because like they kind of want to use. I would imagine they probably want Budokai to kind of be like the point where all the players who are currently playing Xenoverse 2 to kind of move to. So maybe they have like a mode that's kind of like the Xenoverse like RPG mode.
Especially coming off the heels of Kakarot too, right? Like I think we're getting towards the end of the lifespan of that game. This feels like the next kind of stepping point for what those two games could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We still got 2 pieces of DLC for Kakarot that are supposed to come out still. So
okay.
We don't even have those announced yet as far as what those even are, but they're coming out, I think, before the end of the year. So we might even see a trailer for one of those, like a short trailer for those at Keeley's thing. But actually, speaking with Bandai Namco, I actually think we get the announcement of another anime-based RPG, kind of like One Piece Odyssey, or, you know, or Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and I think we are getting a My Hero Academia action RPG.
I hope so. I'm so tired of these arena brawlers that all these games end up being. Kakarot was a breath of fresh air, regardless of how you think of like the quality of the game. Like, I want a proper My Hero game. I want that so bad.
Yes, exactly. And I think that they've heard this loud and clear from people, which is why I think like the next game that's going to get that like One Piece Odyssey, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot treatment is going to be My Hero, I think. And that's why, like, you know, there's nothing telling me that this is a thing. This is, again, a very pie in the sky prediction, which is why, but I also think, you know, if they're going to announce it, this will be the time where they announce it, and it'll be, you know, late 2024, early 2025 kind of thing. But I think that's a Summer Game Fest thing.
I think you're right, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it's earlier than that. I mean, One Piece Odyssey, from like announcement to actual like release date, wasn't too long.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, and I think, you know, My Hero, again, at the height of its popularity right now, I think I think as pie in the sky as it might sound, I actually think you're far closer to reality than not.
Plus, when you look at that franchise as a whole, and like you have it kind of the RPG scenario kind of writes itself. You have a bunch of different characters with different abilities, and you kind of combine them all together in like you form maybe your own squad of 3 or 4 members with different as you tackle different challenges. Like again, the game just makes itself. I don't even need to go any further with it. Like it's like that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG I pitched a long time ago, where you know that you've got 4 characters, 4 turtles for your party. They have different abilities. It just makes sense. Like it just. This is a lock like that too.
Speaking of it, do you think we see that I can't remember if this was confirmed or just a rumor, the Last Ronin?
So that is confirmed. I don't think we see it at all next week.
Okay.
But that's where my head's at with that one. I also have 2 other pie in the sky predictions. If you'll allow me, Matt. The other one is a collection is announced during the Nintendo Direct of the 2 Lunar games, because Gung Ho Games has those licenses, and they've been waiting to re-release them, and I think now is the time you finally actually put those games out. Where, you know, Lunar 1 and 2 from, you know, PS1 and then PSP. I think it's time for those games to come back. So I think this is the time where they announce like a $20 collection, like the Grandia HD collection that they did, that had Grandia 1 and 2 in it. I think they do that with Lunar 1 and 2. So there's that. And then my last one, which of course is the most Ryan Turford pie in the sky prediction ever, a new Parasite Eve game is announced, and Ryan is very happy. Whether it's a remake of the first one, whether it's a sequel to the third birthday, whether it's just re-releasing those gosh darn games on modern platforms, I'll just take the PS1 games on PS Plus at this point, Matt. I'm desperate for some Parasite Eve on modern consoles, and we don't have it yet. So I'm trying to will that into the existence, and maybe it'll happen at some point.
I've never played it. Is it worth going back to? Does it hold up?
Yes, I played them again earlier this year, and they're both, the first 2 games are still awesome.
Okay.
The Parasite Eve games, if you haven't played them, Matt, they're basically survival horror turn-based role-playing games. So they're made by Square Enix. And you play as a single character, and you kind of explore the environment, and it's similar to Resident Evil because there's some puzzles and stuff that you have to solve in the area. You collect ammunition along the way because you only have so many available attacks at your disposal. Because if you run out of ammo, just like Resident Evil, that's it. You can't attack the enemies at that point. So it's actually, and it's got some fantastic music, visual design. It's actually a Christmas game because it takes place at Christmas time in New York City. And it's basically being invaded by these, monsters, and it's super, super cool. Which again, it's too bad that it never came back because it's such a unique concept for a game. Because we don't have, like Resident Evil, we don't have role playing like spin-offs of Resident Evil or anything like that. Where I think that Capcom could totally do something like that and it'd be awesome. So Parasite Eve was the game that did that, and unfortunately, it just never came back. Like the third birthday kind of killed the series, which was the third game in the series on PSP. They turned it into a third-person shooter, and they made the story make no sense because it was Nomura. He kind of Nomura'd it in the way that he does with his games, which just made it incomprehensible to actually, so much so that I can't even say the word correctly, in order to actually follow the story or play.
Okay, I might have to download this. It looks cool.
Yeah, they're on PlayStation Vita if you want to play them, but yeah, they're pretty cool. So those are
Steam Deck.
There's that too.
Sorry.
There's that too. All right, Matt. Let's quickly go through our audience predictions as well. And we have a couple questions in here because I was very tempted, Matt, to steal one that I thought you were going to say, but I'm going to give Yarden the floor here and say, Yarden says, which showcase are you most excited about, and why is it the RGG Summit on June 15th? Because one of my predictions to make Matt mad was going to be like, hey, Yakuza 8 is announced at Xbox and it's coming to Game Pass day and date, like a Dragon did. And then they'll be mad. And they'll be like, to see more, go watch the RGG Summit on June 15th, which is after the Xbox showcase.
I don't think that's outlandish to predict that. I don't. I think there's a world that actually happens. I think that I can't wait for the RGG showcase. Like, we know the Kiryu game is coming this year. I'm guessing Like a Dragon 2 is going to be next year. RGG's turnaround between games is ridiculous. Like the speed at which they develop is incredible. My biggest question, I think Like a Dragon Stress Yakuza is an entire lock. My biggest question is, do we see anything from Judgment? And is that game still does that series still exist? Do they pivot main characters? I think that if they are bullish enough to do an entire showcase, it's more than just Kiryu and Like a Dragon 2. There has to be something else that they're cooking, that they're ready to talk about, and that they're willing to show off. I cannot wait. Yeah,
especially if they have something else there, it gives me all the more reason to think they'll announce, do Like a Dragon 8 for next year at the Xbox showcase with its trailer there, and be like, for a little bit more on the game, we'll talk about it at the RGG Summit kind of thing.
And I mean, all of them live on Game Pass right now anyway, so I don't think it's a far off prediction that it hits day and date.
Well, and not only that too, we know they have a very good relationship with Xbox, like Sega does, when it comes to this stuff. And Yakuza, in a way, or Like a Dragon's kind of become a little bit synonymous with Xbox now. The tables have kind of turned a little bit on this franchise, so I imagine that that's actually where we see it. If we see it outside that showcase at all. And the only reason why I said that prediction might make you mad is I actually thought you were going to say it. So I actually kind of held it back because otherwise you'd probably be like, dang it, I missed that one. Or Ryan stole my prediction. So
I can't wait though.
Yeah. Next up, the Muffin Mon, Kevin Ainsworth, predicts that we'll see Persona 3 remake at the Xbox showcase. Let's get it. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And then last question of the show comes to us from Drellesh, who asks, What role-playing games do you think we will see from Sony at Summer Game Fest? Will we see a new DLC announcement for Final Fantasy XIV? Will we see any new IPs like Stellar Blade? So first off, Drellesh, I'm going to point out, and I'm going to answer your Final Fantasy XIV one first. No, we won't see it because Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest is happening in July, and that's usually when they announce the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. So
Okay.
I would be waiting until July before we get that announcement. As far as other Sony role-playing games, I mean, obviously Sony first party, I don't expect them to make a role-playing game, so I don't think we would see anything from them. As far as from third-party Sony releases, I think, you mentioned Honkai Star Rail. I think that'll be there because, of course, that is PlayStation exclusive as far as we know of. Otherwise, I don't know what other PlayStation exclusive games we might see there besides Rebirth, because we talked about that a little bit earlier too.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this question, Matt? Because I personally don't think we see PlayStation exclusive RPGs specifically at the showcase. I think we see a PlayStation thing, but I don't think it's an RPG.
I'm with you. I don't think the problem with anything PlayStation specific is they just did the showcase. So anything that you would have theorized that they had like in terms of a big announcement and a PlayStation, whether it's first party or third party exclusive RPG, feels like it would carry enough weight to be in the showcase. So I think it would just be a missed opportunity for them to now turn around and wait with it to something like Summer Game Fest. Like we mentioned, Honkai, I think is an easy lock. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised because, they've talked about how their free-to-play games or their live service games will pretty much cover every genre. So do I think PlayStation's working on a live service RPG in the likes of a Genshin or in the likes of a Honkai? I think it's entirely possible. I just don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
100%. Like, I think actually because of the showcase just happening, I think the only thing we see here is if there's a big PlayStation game coming to PC. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Ratchet, we already got confirmation for Ratchet, so it's just like...
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, if there's something else besides that, we'll see it here, and if there isn't, then we won't see that there. Because, like, when I think back to Summer Game Fest last year, like, that's when we got the announcement about Last of Us on PC, as an example. Like, and I mean, like, part 2 or even a collection or some sort of remaster, like, I think something within that wheelhouse is what we'll get. Like, I don't think we'll get anything more than that. Or, I mean, you never know. They could do, Horizon or Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
One of those games, like one of the early 2022 games, like they could do something like that for PC. I wouldn't rule those out either. So, I think, like, it'll be something like that and not like a traditional RPG, unfortunately, Drellesh. And will we see new IPs like Stellar Blade? Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know about that game. I don't know if the quality's there for them to show it, because I think that's part of the reason we didn't see it at the showcase. But we'll see.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for our predictions episode. Of course, we'll be, eagerly anticipating Summer Game Fest and Xbox Showcase and RGG Summit next week. It's gonna be good. But Matt, first of all, thank you so much for filling in for Garrett this week. I truly appreciate you jumping in the cave with me. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Matt_SilverSoul. And of course, you can catch me on the PlayStation Drive each and every week at Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, right here at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. We're also on Twitch tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for Diablo 4, twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live. And of course, we're on podcast services around the globe. So for Matt Sawinski, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the 96th level of the RPG Cave. I misspoke earlier when I said 95. This is the 96th level. We're only 3 more levels, by the way, before level 99, where we're going to be, at our level cap, Matt. So it's going to be very exciting.
Then it'll be 99.1, 99.2, 99.3.
That is kind of how this is going to work. And then we're out.